What's good, family? I had an interesting situation yesterday. When I remember the first seminary I attended, like in the late 90s, there was this, I remember this really interesting discourse about angels. And they were like, why do I need angels? Because, we now have the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, well, when did God give a pink slip to the angels? Like, I just remember thinking about how people think about the resources that God gives us, but I also have deep, deep convictions about the responsibilities that God gives us. And sometimes the angels show up to help us see who we really are in the face of, these different experiences. And I have decided that in every experience, I am going to practice perfect self expression. And sometimes that can be a very irreverent thing, like what happened yesterday. I've been trying to carry cash around so that I can take advantage of the cheaper gas. If it's like the gas price is like 20 cents cheaper, if you got cash on you. So I'm like, bet I'm trying to keep that cash on me so I can get that cheaper gas. And so I was working in a conference room at one of the local multi-service centers, and I was like, okay, now I'm ready to go have, grab dinner and then go do a sunset, walk and, just kind of do all of the things. And so I have my schedule set. And while I'm like, trying to get to all of the places, I also have one of my mentees on the phone, and I'm like, kind of catching up with her on her life, what's going on with her. And so I go to a gas station in an desert that does live, it's a food desert. And so the only grocery store type things that they have, the resources are, basically at the gas station slash convenience store. And I go and, I park, find my pump number and I go into the gas station and I put my mentee on hold because I didn't want her like hearing all of the transactions or whatever. But as I was waiting to be serviced by the person behind the register and also behind the bulletproof, glass, I'm like, okay, bet, like this is what we're dealing with. Like, right, whatever. I'm just trying to get my gas and, go get me some dinner and then, go and walk under the sky canopy. That's all I want to do. I don't want to hurt nobody. But instead of like calling me to the front, I keep seeing the guy behind the register. He's looking at someone behind me, and then he's pointing to, I guess, one of the other, gas station or convenience store workers. And he's like, that's him, that's him. And then they start yelling at this young person, and there's like take it out, like get it out of your pockets, get it out of your pockets. And so I'm watching, this whole situation, and this pumpkin pulls out two things from their deep pockets. One of them is a bottle of washing detergent, like I think it was like Tide or something, bottle of washing detergent, and then the other one was a bottle of dishwashing liquid. And when I saw that that's what they were taking, and then the guy was like, "Well, get out of here and don't ever come back." I was like, "Wait, wait, wait." I was like, "Hold up, just put that on my tab. Like I got you. Let me just pay for that." And so then the guy behind the cash register was like, "Well, they still over here. Okay, well they're not stealing today. I'm buying it today. Can we please do this? I've got to get like by now I'm like persnickety because I'm hungry." And like all of this foolishness, I was like, "We have a solution. I got you. Like put that on my tab. Like I'm up next. Can we please like go and get this transaction going or whatever?" And so as he's arguing with me, he says, "Well, it's going to be very expensive. Put that on my tab. Let me get out of here. I got stuff to do." I'm like, "Yeah." Now I'm angry, and so the baby boy, like I think it was a boy. Like real talk, I didn't spend a lot of time like looking at them or whatever. I just saw that they were stealing washing detergent and dishwashing liquid, like that was what was in their pockets. And so um, when the guy behind the register was like steady trying to argue with me, I was like, "Listen, are you afraid that like that? What is there like a high street value on Tide detergent? Like what the fuck? Like put. I have told you I'm gonna pay for this. Like let's get this transaction going. Let me get And then I had $15 cash for gas, and I ended up just like taking the five and giving it to baby boy. I was like, "Listen, like put this in your pocket." And so they ushered him out of the store, and then they took the things and rang them up, and it was like $12.10. So I paid for it. Well, there was a black guy who was behind me, and he said, "Ma'am, God bless you for that." I was like, "Listen," I was like, Ashe, and indeed, may God bless me, for this. And so the transaction is complete. This guy, the guy behind the register, is still angry. And so I guess while he's like trying to just hand me a bag to like, put my own stuff in the bag, I was like, "Hey, put that stuff in the bag. Like, put it in a bag. Like, don't hand me to like bag my own stuff. You put it in there, do that." And so as I turn around to hand it to the young person, he drops to his knees. Like he literally drops to his knees and bows to me. And I bend down and I say, get up, get up. To God be the glory. Like to God be the glory. And then I give them a hug. And I think that they were trying to tell me, they were showing me like these marks on their body, like these really bad, like allergic spots or whatever. And so the only thing I can think is that whatever, cheap detergent, that perhaps they were using, they were breaking out severely for. I just don't understand anyone who would shoplift Tide and Dawn unless what they were really after was dignity, the dignity that comes with just being clean. And so, as I made a commitment to never again stop at that gas station, and as I toyed with the idea of, writing, a bunch of 1-star reviews on it, I realized that, man, earlier that day when I had prayed, like, Lord, prepare me for the places that you're sending me. And that yesterday I had to cuss some motherfuckers out because they thought that a person who is trying to live with dignity and someone who was ready to pay for their store, the ability for them to live in dignity, somehow we still needed to be disparaged. And what we needed to do was to just find the money to let them charge us that overpriced shit unless you were paying for your gas with cash. These are some interesting times. But what I realized as I left the gas station, and as I was like, because I had everything on mute, and then as I was recounting it to my mentee, and as I began to think about entertaining angels unawares, and how we oftentimes think of like the angels coming to help us. But what if the angels are there to show us how we're willing to cuss motherfuckers out to be sure that people who don't have, people who desire to live in dignity, that they can. So I don't know, fam. I pray that God is preparing you for the places that God is sending you. And that when you show up in them places, whoever and whatever you are, if you got to get in that ass, if you are reverently irreverent, whatever it is that you need to do, that you not practice respectability, but that you do the hard work, the beautiful work of restoring those people who don't have, just giving them a reason to lift their heads. They tried to bow to me, but it was not my resources. These are not my resources. It was my, coarse tongue that was clowning people on their behalf, but also it was a heart that recognizes that, but for the grace of God, go all of us. And because they wanted to live in dignity, because I want to live in dignity, I want everyone who wants to live in dignity to have that same opportunity. So anyway, shameless plug for my upcoming project, Dignity. I'm going to be at the Deluxe Theater Saturday and Sunday, October 25th, 26th. I'll drop the link in the chat. Show up, be present, but between now and then, be good to yourself and to others. Ashe, may it be so.